Professional winner. Professional winner. Professional winner. Professional winner.
Welcome, guys, to the Professional Winner Podcast. I don't know what episode this is. We've been filming so much. But what I do know is I have a special guest for you, Miss Cheryl Love. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much.
How are you doing today?
I'm feeling pretty good. Pretty good.
If you know me and you have been following my journey and you know I constantly like, yo, I'm tired of Jonathan talking about this book, The Redemption of Bobby Love. We had Bobby Love here a couple episodes ago. He was actually our first episode. And if you read the book, if you know the story, you know that story is not complete without the Rock, the Queen, Miss Cheryl Love. But today we want to dive in a little bit more about Miss Cheryl Love and not from Bobby's perspective or the book perspective, but Miss Cheryl Love's own unique story, her own trials and tribulation, and a lot of the things that she'd been through before she met her husband and they went on their journey together.
So, I was born in Brooklyn, New York, in a hospital called Interborough General Hospital on Linden Boulevard in East New York, which is where the Pink House is.
Shout out to the Pink Houses.
Where I grew up. And so that's where it started with me as far as, you know, growing up and living in the Pink Houses.
And how was it? Was it just describe the family? How many siblings? Mom and dad?
Okay. So, of course, I had a mom and dad. I had one sister and four brothers. My oldest brother is passed on now. His name's George Jr. Then I had my next brother, which is Bruce. And then I have my younger brothers, Don and Scott. And I'm in between them. So I'm the baby girl. My family life, I had a beautiful family life, beautiful childhood. I grew up in the project, but back in, 1960s, 63, that's when I was born. It wasn't like it is now. And so we grew up as close family, close-knit family. I saw a lot of love. My mother and father, when my dad came home from work, I would see him always give my mother hugs, always hugging her, kissing her, getting little touches here and there. I would see those things, you know. We would have dance contests. We just had good family life. Christmas time came, everybody got gifts. You know, I had a good childhood.
And I'm cheating because one, I read the book, one, I was part of creating the book, and I'm your manager. But talk more about your dad and growing up in the church and how was that in your childhood?
Okay, so my dad was strict. I didn't really, get to know that until I was about like in my teenage years.
Can't wait for my daughter to find out.
Oh my God. But like my dad, he was like my first hero. I was talking to you earlier about this and saying how there was no wrong my father could do. He was like Superman to me. Like he could do anything. And so when I was 9 years old, my mom passed on. And so after my mom had passed on, my father got married to my stepmom, and things were so totally different. Like, I had said we were a very close-knit family, and when she came along, it was like whatever she said seemed like my father did, and I was like just waiting for the day. Like, I know he's going to say something now. He's going to tell her something now today. Today's going to be the day. But that day never came where he would get her straight or say anything to her. But, so we just had to deal with it. And I felt like I had become like the mother then because I had to take care of my brothers, my brothers. And so a lot of time I would cut school, or maybe I was becoming rebellious then because I had to do all of that. But I would cut school and I would take care of my brothers. And then when I did get, a chance to when I did go to school, he would, the counselor had told me that you're not going to graduate on time. So to me, that was like the worst thing. Like, what? I'm not going to walk with my class, which was my 1981 walk in graduation class. So I'm like, I'm not gonna walk with my class. You're kidding me. So I had to think of something. I got to do something. So I said, I got to think of something. Yeah, I got to do something. So I said, I'm gonna go down to Georgia and finish my schooling there.
And what grade are you at this point?
At that time, it's 11th grade. 11.
So I want to cut back a little bit. I want to go back to your
Okay.
9 because we talk about Deacon Williams all the time, the great man your father is.
Yes.
But I remember last month I was at your house and you had this picture of your mom, and I said, "Oh my gosh, you and your mom is twins." So I want to talk about that a little bit and talk about the relationship with your mom and going through that as a 9-year-old little girl, losing your mom, and giving the audience a little more detail about how did that occur in that situation.
Okay. So what I can remember from when my mom passed, I was doing my homework, and seemed like it was on a Saturday, and we used to watch the cartoons, the Looney Tune cartoons and everything. So they had went off already, but I know my mom stayed in the back that particular day, and usually she was up front with us and everything, but she was laying down that day, and so I was like, "What's wrong with mommy? Is everything okay?" And it was like, "Yeah, she's just resting. She's just resting." So we took it like that. But I was doing some homework, and my oldest brother, was showing me what to do, helping me with my homework. And so all of a sudden, I saw them taking her out, saying, "Mommy's not feeling good." So they had her in a chair and picking her up, and she's in the chair, and they picking her up and taking her out, and saying that she didn't feel well, that she wasn't going. They're going to take her to the hospital and everything. And so it seems like to me it was that night that they came back. My father came and he told us that mommy had passed away, and it was like, what? Mommy passed away? And because I'm waiting for her to come home now, and they're saying that she passed away, and really that's all I remember. Then I remember my brother standing like at the window, just staring out the window, not moving, not doing anything. I'm crying. My little brother's really not really knowing what's going on. So it's really like chaotic, but it was pretty sad. It was pretty sad at that time. And I can remember my father saying to me after the funeral and everything, well, even while the funeral was going on, I would see all these people who I knew, my aunts and everybody. And almost I felt like this is mommy's gonna get up. She's gonna get up out of this casket thing, what they're talking about, and she's gonna be okay. Everything is okay. That's what my childhood, what I'm thinking, right? So it was sad. It was sad, of course. But I remember like waving at my aunts and stuff and like that. And they're all just looking all sad and everything. And I'm thinking, why are they acting like this? Why are they acting so sad? But that's my child mind thinking at that time. And also, I can remember everything about my mother. I remember like her fingers, how they looked, her toes, how they looked. I just remember everything because she did everything with us. She took us to the library. I remember her showing me how, to write my name so I can get my library card, and taking us and reading us stories, reading us Bible stories, all of that. She was like a great mom from everything that I can remember. So now when my dad told me about he was going to get married and what do we want to call her? Do we want to call her mom, or do we want to call her, what did he say, mom or Miss Turnage? Because that was her name. And, what do we want to call her? And I remember thinking about it for a quick second, but very quickly I said, well, if she's going to be my mother, I'm thinking like a mother. But like I said, still in a child's mind that you never get another mother, So, but I'm thinking, okay, I haven't called anybody mommy in a long time. I'm going to call her mom. She's going to be my mother. But so different, totally different personalities, totally different person. So I had to learn the hard way. Everybody's not the same.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I can't really imagine because I haven't been through it. But that transition must be hard for you, right?
Yeah.
But one thing that I do know from reading the book and to know about you is that, Your dad did the best he could.
Yes.
You know, I know your aunts offered a lot of hands to take you guys and raise you, and he said, "No, I'm going to raise my daughter."
Absolutely.
So shout out to Deacon Williams for just being a great man and being able to deal with that type of adversity.
Yes.
And shout out to you for still becoming this amazing woman you are today. And I know your mother is looking down very proud of Auntie Cheryl.
I feel that she is. I always feel like, there's some extra energy with me sometimes. Like, I'm like, a lot of times, why do you do this? Or why do you feel like this? But I know it's because she is looking down on me.
You know, it's a lot to unpack. It's a lot to uncover. And this is one of the reasons why I want to bring you on this platform, because there's so many layers of you and you're so unique and you're so amazing as an individual that sometimes it's good to separate, the amazing story of the redemption of Bobby Love, which you play a huge part of. But we want to continue to unpack it. Let's skip a little bit now. Let's go back into strict Deacon Williams, finishing high school.
Okay.
So you're in 11th grade now.
Right.
You're balancing, you're kind of playing, you're being your mom. You help raising your brothers.
Right.
You're trying to support your dad. And now you make the decision to go to Georgia to get focused and to graduate.
Right.
So explain the move to Georgia.
Okay, so to me, that was really very easy, because once that counselor told me that I was not going to graduate with my class, I'm like, what? No, you're kidding me. I'm going someplace where I'm going to graduate in 1981 with the rest of my class. I might not walk with my class, but I'm going to graduate my year I'm supposed to graduate. So that's what I did. I went down south. Not as easy as it sounded, because my dad, he was a little reluctant to let me go. But my sister, I said, sis, you got to make daddy let me come down there. I have to graduate on time. So she was like, okay. So we kind of got together and just said, Dad, you got to let her go. She wants to graduate on time. Daddy, you got to let me go. And I'm going to graduate. I'm going to show you I'm going to graduate. So another thing, I used to love the Jacksons. So I had pictures of them all over the place. Michael Jackson.
Who was your favorite?
Oh my gosh. First it was Michael. Then it was Randy, because I loved the way he played the bongos. Then it was then it was Jackie, because he was so muscular. I mean, I went through all of them, I think. But I had pictures of all those guys hanging on the walls. And so my god sister said, if you graduate too one time, I'm going to take you to Cali. And I said, you what? She said, yeah, and we're going to find the Jacksons. And we did. She took me.
Explain that. Explain that.
She took me to California. I graduated on time, and she took me to California. Well, there was this magazine that was out called Right On Magazine. It had every episode of that, too. Every edition of that. So we got the address, and we went to the Right On Magazine studio, and we went there, and we happened to see that particular day. I don't know if you remember the show What's Happening, but we saw Raj, and he was so nice. He took pictures with me. I have those pictures. And then I saw LaToya Jackson.
Oh, man.
What?
Man.
She took a picture with us. And so we took a picture with her, and we was just laughing. And then we walked down the Hollywood Walk of Fame with the stars and everything. And back then, Merv Griffin, he was out. His show was out. So we went to his show. And so there was also, we went to these fancy restaurants, but it was just a good time. We had a good time. And we met at the time, Jackie's wife, Enid. She had a shop, and we went and we found that shop, and we went in there, and she was like, you guys are from New York, and you came all the way here to see. We said, yeah, anything with the Jacksons we will do. So we went to her, and she was so nice and everything. And at first she was like, who? She was in the back, and she didn't want to see us. But then one of the ladies said, they really came from New York to see you guys. And so she said, what? So she said, okay, let them come back. So the lady, we was walking away, and the lady came out. She said, hey, come back. So we went running back there and everything. That was like, we were so happy. Two New Yorkers in big old California hanging out trying to find the Jackson. So that was fun.
That is the best graduation gift ever.
Ever.
Awesome. Shout out to your big sister for doing that, man, and keeping her word. That is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So now, after that, do you stay in Georgia when you graduate? What's the next phase of the life of Cheryl Love?
Okay, so I stayed down there for after I graduated. Maybe I stayed down there till 80, maybe about 82, and after that I was like homesick for my friends. I started missing my friends and everything like that. So I came back to New York, and I got together with a fella that I used to go with in high school before leaving New York. And I actually got pregnant from him, but I lost that baby. I had a miscarriage. And
sorry to hear that.
Yeah, I had a miscarriage. Thank you. But then I was working, and then I left that job, right? But they said, you should come back. They have openings back at the job, at the hospital. And so I did go back there after a year.
Which hospital is this?
This is Baptist Medical Center. Oh. And that's actually where I met Bobby in that next year. So.
Okay. So let's get to that. Okay. Let's get to Bobby. Matter of fact, before we get to Bobby, if you don't mind, especially for the women out there, as you have known throughout the last 2 years, you have gained a huge female audience. Okay. A lot of people love you for your spirit, for the things that you have overcome, which we're going to go in more detail about, even though we kind of touched on some of those things already. How was that process of, losing a child and coming back? And can you put an age to it? How old were you at that time? And what were some of your thoughts about that?
Okay. So I had to be like 20, about 20 years old. 20, going into 21.
Now I can imagine you're terrified at that age.
Yeah, I was a little nervous, but like my dad, my hero, he was right there with me because me and the fella, we had broke up. We broke up. He decided that he didn't want to be together. And so...
And I'm happy that you calling him fella.
Yeah.
We ain't giving you no free clout.
No. So
just fella.
Yep, just the fella. And I had to tell you this part because still at that age, I was still young and probably still wanting to hang on to him. My god sister, one of my god sisters, I had a shirt that said Cheryl and the person's name. And she said, why? I had the shirt on. And she goes, why are you wearing that shirt? And I said, well, it's my shirt. I like this shirt. And she says, well, you still got the name there. And I said, well, what am I going to do? It's on the shirt. It says Cheryl N. And so she says, I'll fix that. Because she used to sew clothes. So what she did, she took the name off. She kept my name there, and she put this huge strawberry under it where it said Cheryl and the person. She took the end off, and she put the name off, and she put it so it's just Cheryl with this big strawberry on there. So
you still got this shirt?
No, that shirt is gone.
Man, that would have been an NFT.
So she said, you don't have to wear that anymore. You don't have to wear that anymore. So I remember that really good. She said, you don't have to keep that name on there. And she said, just leave your name on there. Just so I did that. And I was like, okay. So, and she had said something, well, that's later on in the story, like when it comes to Bobby. But if I can just say this part now.
This is your platform.
Okay, when after everything, and I was telling, my family some of the things, what had happened with Bobby or what was going on, she says, she's a minister too, she goes, I said, and Bobby said that he was going to take that story to his grave. He wasn't going to say anything about it. He was never going to tell me. And she said, she's a minister now. She said, and God said, not my daughter. So she's
Nah.
yeah.
You didn't get that choice, Bobby. God was going to deliver that story to Cheryl by any means necessary, right?
And that's right. And I had to think of that because I was like, to me, that would have been the worst thing. People was like, because he kept this from you so long and then now he's telling you that's not the worst thing. I said, oh no, he finally told me, even though it was, maybe he didn't want to say it at the time the way it came out. I said, but if he would have went to his grave and not told me and I wouldn't have known that would have really hurt me.
And it's okay. Let's talk about it. We can always backtrack and go into the day one when y'all met in the hospital. But what did Bobby keep from you? It's okay. Let's talk about it.
Okay. Well, he kept a huge secret from me. He kept who he was, his real name.
And why did he do that?
Well, because he was a criminal, a bank robber. In his past, he had a flaky past there.
And based on his actions, if you know the story, Bobby ended up going to jail. Bobby escaped jail.
Yes.
Met Cheryl.
Right.
And throughout your whole marriage of how many years?
At that time, it would have been like 30. Yeah, about 30 some odd years.
You had no idea that Bobby was
Nope.
on the run.
No, I didn't know he was on the run. I didn't know he was a criminal. I didn't know any of that. A bank robber. At that, I didn't know any of that.
Now, take me to the day where you found out that Bobby was a criminal. How did you discover? Did Bobby tell you, or?
Oh no, he didn't tell me. But all the while, I had kind of knew, not that, but I kind of knew he was keeping something from me. I didn't know what it was, but I felt like he was keeping something from me. And I would say to him, sometimes we would be talking, and I have this, and I would say, "Are you telling me everything, or you're being mighty quiet? Why are you being so quiet? It's nothing." I said, "Do you have another family somewhere, anything like that?" But I would never find any evidence of him having anybody else. No phone calls, no nothing like that. And, I would even say to my girlfriends, I said, y'all, something about him, but I just can't place it. They said, girl, you putting too much into it. You're putting too much into it. You got too much time on your hands. Bobby he's always at work. He's working all the time, Cheryl. And I said, this is true. So I just let it go,
But what in particular throughout your marriage made you feel like maybe he's hiding something? Did he do specific things or act a certain way?
Like sometimes he would shut down. He didn't like pictures. He didn't really like to take pictures that much. He would do it if I would be like, come on, we need to take this picture. Are you kidding me? You never want to take pictures. What's wrong? So he would just come on and do it, but reluctantly. He really didn't like to take pictures, And sometimes he would get upset with me like, sure, I don't want to take no pictures. And I'm like whatever, things like that. But I let it go. So what? Some people don't want to take pictures sometimes. So I let that go. What else? Really the pictures. And then when he proposed to me, he said, do you want to go to Jamaica to get married? I'm like, Jamaica? No, I don't want to go to Jamaica to get married. Why you want to go to Jamaica to get married? So that was another thing. But then he said, no, I just wanted you to a different place, something to go and, get married. So, he just little things like that.
Did he act weird around his family? Did his family act weird or something like that?
The family, to me, I just thought they were bougie. I thought that, I don't know, I said, for some reason, these people, I don't think they like me, because I would be around them, they would talk, but then they would shut down too. I'm just like, they're weird acting. They're very bougie, That's what I would think or say.
But you had no idea that they were all hiding this secret.
No. And then, the name, they never called him I'm calling him Bobby, but nobody else is calling him Bobby. That didn't seem weird to me either because everybody called him Buddy. Everybody, his friends called him Buddy. The family called him Buddy. So I'm like, that's his nickname. People have nicknames, so that's how it was.
Yeah, it's and what's so amazing to me is not just Bobby being able to keep this secret, but his family being
right.
able to
They didn't say anything.
It's like I would have been messed up at the party. I would have been like, "Hey, Walter!" Oh! I would have been the type. I would have ruined the whole secret. Year one of y'all marriage, Bobby would have hated me. But so before we get to the knock on the door, and for those of you who don't know what the knock on the door is and what we mean by that, please stay tuned because there's nobody who explained this story better than you because you had the most emotion during that process and you was the most shocked about this process. So, but before we get to the knock on the door, I want to go back to the hospital. Okay. Coming back, after your miscarriage and how this led you to meeting Bobby working at the hospital.
Okay. When I came back to work at the hospital, there was this young man there who was singing and loud. And that was Bobby. And I said, who is that man singing so loud? He's so loud. Why is he so loud? And they said, oh, that's Bobby, Cheryl. He said, he is loud, but he sings all the time. He's always singing through here. He's fun, though. He's a lot of fun. I said, well, he's mighty loud. I don't know. But all the while looking at the side of my eye at him. Yeah.
So let's keep talking about it. So you meet Bobby. Who approaches who first? How does this relationship start?
Okay, so whenever I got paid, we used to get paid. I can't remember. I believe it was every Friday, but I would go get me a pair of shoes in the city on West 4th Street. And Bobby, he used to live in Harlem, so he would have to be at work by 12 o'clock. Sometimes I didn't have to be in until 4. So this particular Thursday or Friday, it had to be Friday, I went to go get my shoes. And as I'm coming back, I see him going to work. We're on the same train. So we get off and there's this long block you have to walk on before getting to the hospital. So we was walking and talking on that block. And I can remember I had on a pair of yellow shorts and a hot pink shirt and some hot pink shoes. And so I saw him, he saw me, and he was like, hello. And I was like, oh boy, he's going to want to walk down this block. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. But anyway, he said, hold up, wait up. So we walked down the block together and everything. And we started talking, just regular talking. And he walked me all the way home, which is not that far from my house, but from the hospital. But he walked me to my building there. And so I said, okay, well, I'm going to see you later on then. So that's how it kind of started with us. We started talking like that, just small talk, And he said, okay, so I'll see you later. I said, all right, I'll check you out later. I said, I come to work at 4 like that. So he's like, okay. So that's how it kind of started with us. And so then he asked me on a date to go and see Gladys Knight and the Pips.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, all right.
This the first day? This the first day?
He said
first date Gladys Knight?
He like you.
That's why y'all been married 40 years.
This is the first date, yes. But he claims, he told me the movie's Purple Rain. It was not. So there's a discrepancy against that because I said it was Gladys Knight and the Pips. We did go see Gladys Knight and the Pips, and I think that was our first date. But if you listen to him, he'll tell you that it was Purple Rain movie.
Either way, those are 2 good first dates.
Yeah.
Y'all both win. Check.
Yes.
Check. That's a big check. All right. People, if you're listening, first date got to be big. You got to take your spouse in this area. You got to go take them to see Drake. It's first date. Okay. Exactly. So did you say yes to the date?
Yes, I did. I went. I said yes. But he says at first, I said no. I don't remember saying no at first. But
you said, Bobby, no. You're not the guy for me? Okay.
No, I had to play it off a little bit, but he was the guy. I was liking him. I liked him.
Okay, so after this date, when do y'all get serious? After you go see Gladys Knight, you guys go on a couple of more dates and things get serious?
Yeah, we start talking and getting serious. And I said, I kind of like this guy. And I found that he was really smart. Bobby was a smart guy. He was a brave guy. Because what happened was, what really started making me like him a lot too was because what I did, I was a dietary aide at the time. And so I was taking food upstairs, and there was these guys they said it was from the mafia, Italian guys. And so this guy was like really snotty acting. And somehow he said something mean to me or something like that, and Bobby would have to take the trays down. And so he came, he said, "Don't be talking to her like that, man." And I was like, "Bobby, don't worry about it, don't worry about it." But he was like, no, he shouldn't be talking to you like that, he shouldn't be talking to you like that. So that was like, I said, oh, he's brave. He's brave too. He got a lot of gunno. He got some swag here. So I like that about him too. So I saw that he was like very brave and everything too. So
that is awesome. So when do Jasmine come in the picture?
Okay, so Miss Jazz came along. Okay, well, it was before we got married. I got pregnant with Jasmine. And so Bobby wasn't saying anything about marriage, but I was going to have my baby anyway. He didn't say, but he said to me, he said, listen, he said, I'm going to find us a place and we're going to, live together. And we, if you want to, you want to get an apartment together and we live together, and I'm going to take care of you and the baby. And I'm like, okay. But he didn't say anything about marriage. And then one day, maybe about a week later or so, or maybe a month later or so, he came and he said, I want to marry you. We're going to get married. So he proposed to me.
Oh, and then that's when you said no to Jamaica.
No. Right. That's when I was like, no Jamaica, but I will marry you.
Jasmine is born at the wedding, right?
Jasmine was born after the wedding because we got married in March of 85 and Jasmine was born in July 85.
Okay. So where was the wedding at?
The wedding was in the Louis H. Pinkhouse's Center, because at my church at the time they was not allowing pregnant women to go down the aisle. And so I said, well, you know what, don't make it a big thing. And people was like, why she can't get married? She can't. But I said, listen, we will get married in the center there. Pastor Anderson can come to the center and marry us, and we'll have the reception right after. And that's what we did. And my god sister, she's so creative. She made my god sister Anna, she made the center so beautiful, fixed it up really nice. We decorated it. They did everything. I didn't have to do a thing.
That is awesome. That's awesome. This is a real New York City love story. Now take me through the years. So eventually more kids come.
Right.
Take me through the years, the kids living with Bobby, growing up. I mean, not growing up with Bobby, but Bobby as a husband and growing you guys' family together.
Okay. So my husband, I'm gonna tell you, he's a man's man. He took us on vacation. He would he would even buy me things, And at first I was like, I'll buy my own things. I will get them, and you pay for them, but I'll pick out what I like, But then I really saw he had good taste. He had nice taste. So I said, okay, that's cool. You can buy me those things. That's nice. And like when I was pregnant, he wouldn't get pregnant dresses. He would get dresses that were just a little bigger. But, and I like that because I said, okay, it's not those plain old maternity clothes back then with just maternity clothes. They have nice things now, but back then it was just these regular plain old dresses with bows and everything like that. But he would get me regular clothes, but just a little bigger. And so I was stylish. I was the belle of the ball, So I remember him doing things like that. And, whatever I asked him for, Bobby would try his very best to get it for me. He would cook. Bobby cooked. Bobby helped me clean. Bobby helped with the girls as far as like the uniforms, ironing. His mother had taught him how to iron, so he knew how to iron. And he helped me with all those things, no problem, And I was like, he's a little older than me, but he's a good man. He's a good man. I didn't have to worry about him not taking care of this and not paying for this. And I didn't have to worry about him not cleaning up after himself. He cleaned up he cleaned up after himself. I didn't have to worry about dirty socks, things like that hanging around. None of that. So, I mean, he was okay. It was just sometimes I felt like he wasn't telling me everything. He wasn't being he wouldn't be telling me everything about himself. And I felt like that. But sometimes I thought it was me. I said, "Are you satisfied with the marriage? Are you satisfied with?" And he's like, "I am. He said, "I have no problem with you. You're doing good. You're wonderful." That's what he would tell me. But I would see him sometimes just like isolated or not really talking. Yeah, so I knew it was something. Then I would have a recurring dream about him with this thick rope coming out of his mouth. And I'm like, what is that? And I would have this dream, not just once, but a couple of times. And so to me, that was like, this man has something to tell me, but he's not telling me. So it was things like that.
But think about this. Mm-hmm. The way you just described Bobby. Mm-hmm. Father of four. Mm-hmm. Strong man. Mm-hmm. Working hard. Mm-hmm. Stability. Who can ever predict that he was wanted?
Who? That's
nobody, right?
And that's part of the whole thing, John. I had to forgive myself with this whole thing too. Forgiving him and forgiving me. Because at first I was like, how could I be so silly? How could I be so stupid? You lived with this man all the time. But then I had to think, you were never looking for anything bad about Bobby.
But he had a birth certificate.
Everything. Yes.
Credit cards. Car. Driver's license.
Jobs.
Travel. Vacation. Little things that you can't control when you're wanted. Like pictures, okay? But for the most part, he didn't say, "Oh, I'm hiding in the house." Y'all went outside.
We went on dates. We went, yes,
concerts.
Everything.
Even with how I want to say this is like a mastermind plan. Mm-hmm. Obviously, Bobby is no idiot. Even with all of that, unfortunately, in 2016, there was a knock at the door. Mm-hmm. So take us through that day.
Okay. So actually it was 2015.
Excuse me,
That's
sorry.
That's okay.
2016 was when he got out, right?
2016,
right. 2017. Mm-hmm. 2015.
2015. I got up that morning, usually do, thanking my God for waking me up and starting me on my way, and just thinking about what I had to do during the day. And I had also just finished praying with Jordan. Not just finished praying, but about a good 20 minutes, no, maybe longer than that, 30 minutes praying with him. Every morning I pray with the kids before they left out. And I had did that. And then I went back into the kitchen, had my cup of tea. And I'm sitting down there, take my sip. And there's this loud knock at the door. I'm like, who is it? And Bobby said, who is it too? And so they said, we want 2A. You're like, well, this is 2A. So I'll go and I'll open the door. And lo and behold, when I open that door, FBI, new NYPD, guns drawn, stand back, ma'am. You don't know who this is. You don't know who this man is. What? I don't know who this man is. First of all, I'm shocked I had slippers and my robe on. I'm so shocked. And so they come through. The man not pushes me because he doesn't put his hands on me, but I have to move back. So I move back and I'm looking. I'm like, Bobby, what's going on? What's going on? Bobby is not looking at me. Bobby's holding his head down. And I'm like, oh my God. My husband, just my huge husband, my big, strong husband, man of a man husband, is not looking at me, head down, looking down, and not saying a word. And I'm like, oh my God, what's going on? And I'm thinking, did the boys do something? I just don't know what to think. And they're around him. And I'm really not hearing what they're saying, but because I'm back, but they're asking him stuff. And I know they say to him, now I know that they said, what's your name? And he says, Bobby Love. And they said, no, what's your real name? And he says, Walter Curtis Miller. This is what I'm saying now because that's what I heard. That's what he says. But I hadn't heard any of this. I hadn't heard any of it. And so they're behind him. And I'm saying, he's a diabetic. He needs to take medicine. He needs to get his medicine. And the cop is still trying to hold me back, but I just act like he's not there. And, giving Bobby the medicine, trying to give him something to eat. That's what it was. A cookie or something. So I said, he has to eat. He's a diabetic. And at that time they said, no, we can't give him the medicine now. You can't give him any medicine right now. And they said that we're going to take him away. But this is like chaotic. And I'm screaming like, he has to have medicine. And to my other two kids, and they said, we have to go to the back. And I'm like, my other two kids are back there. It's just a lot going on at that moment.
So they take Bobby.
Mm-hmm.
Chaos.
Yeah.
Confusion.
Yeah. I still don't know what's going on. I just think they're going to take him in, to be arrested. And they're going to arrest him. Like,
so take me through the first couple of days. When you start learning more about Bobby, when you start to realize that he robbed the bank, his real name. Just take me through this whole process, that first couple of days.
Okay, so that same day when he got arrested, January 22nd, I got a phone call from the lawyer, the lawyer, and she said, so Mrs. Love, she said, when you go and see Bobby, you're going to ask for Walter Curtis Miller. And I'm like, I said, okay. I said, all right, is that the name of the facility? And when I say you could hear crickets, it was so quiet. And the lady goes, she says, no, ma'am. She says, just ask for that name, Walter Curtis Miller. And I said, okay. So I hung up. As I'm putting the phone down, that's when I realized. I said, oh, and Jessica was standing right there. I said, Jesse, that's your father's name. I said, oh my God. I said, that's your father's real name, Walter Curtis Miller. And I guess it came to me just like that. And I think it was because the way that officer had said, stand back, ma'am, you don't know who this is. And also because I said, that's Jean's name, Jean Miller Levette. It just came to me. Yep, which is Bobby's sister. And it came to me just like that. And I said, oh my God, that's your father's real name.
Now, when you going through this, Miss Cheryl, nothing in your head says, I'm done. How could he do this to me?
Honestly, right then and there, no. I was not thinking like that. Right at that moment, I was thinking, when they took him away, I said, oh my God. It was very overwhelming, but I really was not thinking about myself at that time. All I could think of was Bobby. I was thinking this is overwhelming for me. So I know it has to be overwhelming for him. And I was just thinking, Lord, I don't know what he's thinking. I don't think if he's thinking suicide thoughts or what. I didn't know what to think. So I was just like, God, you tell me what to do. The kids had already told me, Ma, we with Daddy. I don't know what's going on. We don't know what's going on. I said, I don't either. And it wasn't as simple as I'm saying it now. I'm crying. I'm frantic. I said, but I'm with him. I'm supporting him. I'm with him. And the kids was like, us too, Mom. We with you. We still love Daddy. We love Daddy. We gonna be. I said, okay. So that's all I wanted him to know at that time was that I'm with you. I'm not leaving you. Don't think that I'm with you. So
And
that's
that
how I
was your
felt.
first conversation after he got locked up?
When he was able, yes, he was able to call me before they even took him into Rikers, because they took him to the Bellevue Hospital first to get his medicine and everything. And he told me, he said, Cheryl, he said, this was before you, this was before the kids. And I really didn't even say anything like, what happened? Why did you? None of that. I just I said to him, Bobby, I'm with you. I don't know what's going on, but I'm with you. And he was like, okay. But, you could hear he had been crying, sobbing and stuff. And I just wanted him to know that I was with him at that point. I still didn't know what was going on. But later on that evening, I had found out more because my older daughter, Jasmine, she had found out, what the deal was, and, the whole name change and about the name and everything. So I was like, what? And so she told me as much as she could find out. And then that next day, me and Jessica, we went to the jail, to Rikers Island, and he told me everything.
Okay. And when Miss Cheryl was saying everything, if you look at episode 1 of the Professional Winner podcast, we have Bobby here. And it's a 2.5-hour interview where Bobby literally goes in detail about his choices he made, how he was able to hide throughout New York City, and that journey. And just to give you a quick summary of what Bobby did, Bobby was a bank robber. He ended up getting sentenced to 25 to 30 years in the North Carolina Central Prison. And after 5 years, he escaped and landed in New York City, and that's when his life began. And he met Cheryl, and he was basically on the run for over 30 years before the FBI and NYPD found him in Brooklyn. But I want to go back into the day when you found out that they were sending him to North Carolina. North Carolina fought to get him back. They wanted him to finish his prison term, which would have been, another 20 years?
I believe it was 10.
They wanted to give him 10, so they must have cut some time off. So he's going to finish another 10 years in North Carolina. But at this point, Bobby is already older.
Right.
So what those 10 years could have been. Yes. Who knows he would have survived those 10 years.
Right.
So take me through that day when you found out that your husband had to go back to North Carolina and they wanted him to finish his sentence.
Right. So we had been thinking that maybe he would be able to get out up here. But this lawyer said, Mr. Love, you're not going to be able to get out of here. North Carolina wants you back. You have to go back there. So he said, okay, cut all this going back and forth to court. He said, just extradite me back down there. So that's what happened. And they took him to this place called Spruce Pines, North Carolina. So we went. No, I wanted to come. And me and the kids, we were going to come. But Bobby said, no, I don't want y'all to come down here. I don't want y'all to come down. So I was like, okay, we're just going to listen for this little bit of time, but we're going to eventually go and see him, But, so anyways, he went down to Spruce Pines, and we would talk on the phone every day. Every day Bobby called me. My friends at work, some of them would be like, come on, Cheryl, we going out. We're going such and such a place. And I would say, okay, well, let's go. And sometimes I did go, but they knew I wasn't going to go at a certain time because Bobby would call me at a certain time. And I said, I'm not missing my call. I'm not going to miss my calls, y'all. And they said, we know. So that's how it was for that year. I would make sure I never missed a call, that kind of thing. And we would talk, we would write each other. It seemed like things was even getting better for us while he was away like that.
So now you're on a journey. You're not going to just let Bobby sit there, right? What are you doing, Miss Love, to get your husband back home?
Okay, so they said that the best thing for us to do would probably get letters from people in the community who knew who Bobby was, the things that he was doing. And so we went to because Bobby was a coach. Bobby was coaching Little League. He was doing things in the community. He was a good standing member in the church. So I got letters from like loads of people, so many people, family members who knew him too also, and just told them to write write letters about Bobby, of how they felt his character was and who he was to them and how he helped them, and so that's what they did. My pastor wrote a letter, first lady wrote a letter, other people in our church wrote letters for him, talking about his character. Teachers from the school, because Bobby, we were in the PTA meetings. We were always there for the boys, for the girl, just people in the community. And so we got like so many letters of this good character, and we brought that to parole hearing. He wasn't able to come to the hearing, but I went. My dad was there. My Bobby's sister and my daughter Jessica, we were the ones that were in the parole board meeting and spoke to the council, parole council, and they just asked us questions about Bobby, or why do you think he should be out? Why do you think he should be make parole? And so we just answered from our hearts,
and it worked.
It worked.
Take me through the day. Bobby getting released and coming home. How did you feel?
Oh my goodness. That day, I couldn't even sleep that night before, hardly. We were so excited. We couldn't wait to see him. Couldn't wait to be held in his arms, to feel his big arms around me, and oh my God, it was just wonderful. It was just wonderful to see him. And I can't describe, words cannot describe how I felt.
Bobby is home.
Yes.
Bobby is home.
Is home. And Bobby can be his true, authentic self.
And he decided to legally make himself Bobby Love.
Mm-hmm.
I remember you told me a story.
Mm-hmm.
You asked Bobby a question when you found out.
Right.
Tell the audience.
Well, I asked him, I said, so are we Loves? Or are we the Loves, or are we the Millers? And he said, we are the Loves.
We are the Loves.
We are the Loves. Mm-hmm.
Amazing. So, Bobby is home, Miss Cheryl.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we can go into little details, but eventually Bobby comes home.
Yes.
Eventually, I meet Rich.
Mm-hmm.
Rich introduced me to you guys.
Yes.
I become your manager.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of things start happening.
Yes.
You did the Humans of New York interview.
Mm-hmm.
Over 8 million likes.
Wow.
So many people communicating with you.
Mm-hmm.
We have nicknamed you Auntie Cheryl.
Isn't that something?
How has that process been? And just to be honest, I know you wasn't a fan of it in the beginning.
No.
So take me through the journey of Humans of New York and the book. And also, let's just get straight to it. You have a TV deal. Octavia Spencer will be playing you and you guys' biopic about your life. How was it talking to Miss Spencer? How was it talking to Kerry Washington? And just give me the new Cheryl and Bobby Love and how everything came full circle.
Okay, so wow, talking to them, amazing. I tell you, I never ever thought that I would ever be able to telling my story, would ever be able to tell my story, because I'm like a quiet person, really secretive. Well, not secretive, but just quiet. Not shy, but quiet. And so when it all came out, I was like, oh, brother, what? I don't know if I can deal with this. I don't think I'm going to be able to deal with this. And so my older daughter said to me, Mom, And I'm like, what? She said, have you been reading any of those comments from this Humans of New York story? And I said, no, and I'm not gonna. And she said, Mommy, you really need to read these comments. Mommy, you haven't read none of. I said, no. And so I said, and John told me, you better you better get prepared, Miss Cheryl, because it's gonna be a lot after, people are gonna be noticing you. And I'm like, get out of here, John. No, they're not. But he told no lie, because when I went to work that next day and I'm at the copier machine, a couple of girls came up. They said, Miss Love, that's what they call me, Miss Love. Miss Love, was that you that we saw on the TV, not on the TV, but on the Instagrams and stuff? I said, you saw me? He said, yeah, I'm gonna show you the. So they show. I said, yeah, that's me. And so she said, oh my God, we got a celebrity. I said, will you shut up? What do you do? She said, okay, I won't say nothing. But it was too late. Everybody knew already. And so that was one thing. And so, like I said, my daughter was like, Mommy, have you read those comments? I said, no. So anyway, she said, you really need to read them, Mom. So I sat down and I said, let me look at some of these things. And some of the comments that people were saying, things that I was trying to hide, and they were saying, Auntie Cheryl, oh, Miss Cheryl, I'm so glad that you spoke out about this, because you have to speak these things out, because if you didn't, I wouldn't be able to go on. I wouldn't, and all this kind of, I'm like, what? And you have to, I'm so glad, because you made me be able to speak up and speak out by, telling your truth and telling this truth about this thing and not holding back. And I'm like, oh my goodness, all I did was just tell the truth and tell my heart. But they were saying, thank you for telling it. And right then and there, I said, oh my God. And I started crying. I said, God, you are healing me right now. Stuff that I was trying to keep back, to hide and to keep from people. It was like, tell it. You have to tell it, because you're helping somebody. You're helping somebody else. And I was like, oh my God. And they was like, and you forgave him? You really forgave him? I don't believe you really forgave. I had some comments that were negative, but I had, for the most part, it was, you forgave him. So I was like, wow,
We always talked about it. There's truth to power.
Yes.
And it's never easy really telling your story and breaking it down. And I know sometimes where the level you're at now, you're constantly telling your story over and over again, because now it's part of a bigger brand and who you are.
Yes.
But there's always truth to power. And even if it helps 2 or 3 people, it's worth it, because you never know. There were people who reached out to you and Bobby and say, you stopped me from suicide.
That's right.
You saved my marriage.
You saved my marriage.
That's worth more than 1,000 negative comments and whatever negative energy people put out into the world that we can't control.
Absolutely.
But that's what you do it for. And how was it writing a book? I know that was also tough for you. How was it writing a book with the wonderful Lori Tharps and Bobby and going through that entire process? It
was so therapeutic. Where, like I said, at first I wasn't really into it, like to really write it or to really, I told Bobby, I said, listen, if you want to, you go right ahead, and I am with you. I'll be in the background. I'll help any kind of way I can, but I don't want to be going on no TV programs and all that kind of stuff. Forget that. No. So anyway, it just it's just did a full course U-turn, turn around everything, because for one thing, you have to forgive. Forgiveness means that you're moving on, you're moving forward, you're not stagnant, and you don't become bitter. And that's what you don't want to do. You do not want to be bitter, because that holds you back. It holds you back from doing things that you want to do, what you need to do. You have to keep pushing, going forward, moving forward. So that's where I am right now.
And I'm going to bring it back, because I asked you 40 questions in one when we first started. So another question. We sat and we talked to a lot of powerful people. That we probably thought we'll never be able to speak to.
Right.
How was it talking to Octavia Spencer, Miss Kerry Washington, some powerful people. You talked to Morgan Freeman. You talked to Jason Baby. How was that process of you talking to these people and us coming together and trying to figure out who's best to make your life story?
Wow, it was a fun process. It was it was amazing because you usually think of like stars are all stuffy and bougie and everything, but they were so down to earth. They said that they enjoyed the story, that they really want, they Miss Octavia Spencer said she wanted to play me and she knows she could do a good job. And I was like, wow. And I love Octavia Spencer and Miss Kerry Washington. I mean, just down to heart, good old folk, good time folks. We laughed. I mean, it was like I knew them from before when we spoke on the phone. So it was just amazing to meet them, to talk to all these people, important actors and actresses. It was just wonderful. It was a wonderful, beautiful experience.
So I'm going to end it with one last question, Miss Cheryl.
Mm-hmm.
How is you and Bobby today in this current state? How are you guys enjoying each other with all of this new fame and attention? Your story is no longer just y'all story. It's America's story.
Mm-hmm.
So how does it feel?
It's so surreal, but it feels so wonderful because it just makes me go back and think from like childhood, like I always wanted to be married when I had become like young, a young adult, and to get the person that I did get or marry is beautiful. And Bobby is a beautiful human being, and I'm glad that I did fall in love with him, and I'm sure he's pretty glad he fell in love with me too.
He ain't Bobby Love without you. He knows that.
All right.
So this was amazing. Thank you, Auntie Cheryl, for coming on.
Absolutely.
Thank you for all the viewers who are tuning in. We are so happy that you are continuing to follow us and be a part of this journey that we're starting. Thank you so much for tuning into the Professional Winner Podcast. God bless you, and see you all very soon.
Professional winner. Professional winner. Professional winner. Professional winner.